This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, this is June the 3rd. The summer is here, and this is Jim Marshall. I am the moderator for the AnCan Foundation's Veteran Support Group, and I'd like to thank a sponsor that we have, which is Johnson & Johnson, that helps defray the cost of the video GoToChat tool that we are using. And today we've got two new folks on, and I'm going to start with Jim Kavanaugh. Okay, Jim, I take it
Yes,
you're here? Oh, good.
Yes,
a question for you first. How
Yes.
did you hear about us? I'm curious.
In New Jersey, I have access to another group, and they had referred me to a special event that AnCan had about a week and a half ago, and I was so impressed. And four of the people that spoke had Orgovix as part of their treatments, and I was very impressed with the group and just sharing each other, just helping each other. So since that, they had mentioned a veterans group, so this is my second meeting and the first with a veterans group.
Oh, okay.
And just a very quick thumbnail. I basically am a Eucharistic minister at a church I've been serving for 13 years for three county diocese in New Jersey. So serve communion to thousands of people. I run a foundation around the world for the poor. We've raised about $500,000 for the poor.
Ooh,
and
good man.
I'm a chaplain for 4 501c3s. My background military-wise, I was Army National Guard Spec 5, and basically I was very lucky. I was only handling New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and Texas during my stay. I was never overseas. My brother was in the Army, came back after 2 years, kissed the ground, and was insulted with spit. So for the next 55 years, all I do is help veterans.
Fantastic.
And so the long and short of it is, I'll mention that I am an acting chaplain for the Marines as a Marine associate the last 13 years, 2 years as a chaplain. I've been a chaplain for Welcome Home Vets, which operate in North Jersey, for the last 13 years. And I'm also a chaplain for the 112th Armory Division, and I retired from that a couple years ago. I was just overloaded. And I'm also a senior vice commander and chaplain the last 6 years for a Morristown group of the American Legion. So that's where I spend some of my time. But now I have the cancer since August, and I have some good news. And one of the principal reasons I wanted to share it with the group was that those that may be new to this, I was diagnosed in August. I had 5 treatments, very intense treatments. Instead of 29 or 40, they decided that since I had a Gleason score of 8, which was a higher risk and quicker growing, and I had a 12.1 PSA, they thought I could tolerate the 5 aggressive treatments. And I was sleeping 14, 16 hours a day. I'm only sleeping 9 hours a day. But the result that I just learned 2 days ago was the PSA has gone down with the Orgovix that I've been on since January 3rd. So for about 5-6 months, the Orgovix works. It did with me, and I'm down to 0.4, almost an undetectable score for the PSA. Right. So that was good news. So anyone who's on Orgovix and has questions whether it might work, I can't say the miracle will happen with everyone, but God's been very good to me.
Fantastic. Now, I take it you have signed up for the intermediate group or the high-risk group? I don't know. Which one did you attend?
Quite frankly, I'm not sure. I was listed as kind of high risk because before now, I mean, the Gleason score was 8, and it was considered aggressive, and they took the toughest treatment for radiation.
Oh, yeah. Now,
I suspect it was aggressive. If I'm in the wrong group, tell me.
oh, no. This is the veterans group. And so I
Yep.
have a question for you. How long
Yes.
did you serve within the National Guard? How many years?
I was in 6 years.
Was it just shy of 6 or 6 or
No,
a little more than 6?
no, it was 6, and I was honorably discharged. And since my brother came back from the Vietnam, and I was so insulted by it, for the next 55
Yeah,
years, I
right.
do things with the governors and premiers.
Okay, because according to the VA, if you have served 6 years within the National Guard, you are considered to be a veteran in the eyes of the VA. If you serve less than that, you are not a veteran in the eyes of the VA.
Oh, well,
So
then I am a veteran.
you are a veteran. Now, I have a question. Have you looked into uh, attempting to figure out if you are eligible for VA disability?
Well, the disability that I also have MS. I retired
Oh,
from a large
okay.
corporation.
You also
But
have
it's
MS.
not service connected.
Well, uh, okay, but now a question for that. In the MS
Yes.
side, have you gone to the VA and notified them that you have MS?
No, I got short circuit. I applied to the VA, and it was so much hassle because initially they wanted my DD 214, and in the National
Right,
Guard they have a different form.
right.
I
That
submitted
is
that
true.
form.
Okay.
And it was just so much grief. I just couldn't get anywhere. So out of frustration, I stopped.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Well, um, let me um, let me give you a thumbnail of what you are entitled to now. Actually,
okay,
because you are a veteran, and also this is good for any of your flock, okay? If there is a
okay,
veteran that has either MS or the, let's see, MS, ALS, or end stage renal failure, they are entitled to 100% free VA health care the rest of their life, no matter where they served, what they did. They could have been over here essentially at Fort Myer as a trombone player in the band.
wow,
Okay.
wow,
They are now entitled to 100% free VA health care. Now, let me explain this. Okay, the VA is actually you can think of it as two separate armies, totally independent of each other. There's the healthcare army, and with the benefit army. So in this case, MS wise, this is healthcare army. You don't get money, but especially with the cost of healthcare, it's a great thing to have, even if you have a private plan. And I can explain that afterwards. So,
wow,
um, and the deal is, and for you to apply to this, it goes to the healthcare people, not uh, to the benefit people. Now,
got it.
there is a possibility, and even though you said you did not serve overseas, you did not serve in a war zone, um, but you served probably on some military installations at time. Is that true?
Well, I came from Fort Knox. That was where I had my
Oh,
basic, and then we
okay,
were called out for Indiana for riot control, that sort of thing.
right. Okay, now, so you just did the 2 months Fort Knox, right?
Yeah, I can't remember how many months, but it was at Fort Knox.
Okay, did you do
Basic.
additional training there like AIT, advanced
Uh,
infantry training?
No, the captain wanted me to go through OCS, and I started that, and then I fell in the field, and I was taken to the hospital, and a major there said, "Oh my God, you shouldn't be on this foot at all." And he put in a steel plate into my boots, and he says, "You're off of this." So I never completed OCS school.
Oh, okay.
And I finished honorable discharge 6 years. I filled it out, but they didn't have me, running and doing all the extensive stuff I was doing, because I
Right.
was considered a leader, a squad leader at the time.
Right. Now, besides Fort Knox, did you ever serve on any other installations around you? Fort Dix or any of those?
Yes, up in Harrisburg. As it turns out, each time I was in my weekend warrior assignments in these various states, there was one that I was assigned to finance specialist jobs. The warrant officers would always pick me off in every unit I would go to, and I was given a warrant officer job. So I did finance and personnel specialist type things in the one, I can't remember what it's called, Harrison, but it's near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. There's a fort up there. And
Okay,
then we went to Fort Drum for weekends sometimes.
Fort Drum. Okay, the reason why I said that because uh, Fort Knox, Fort Dix, and I'm sure Fort Drum have been declared an EPA toxic waste sites. And they have all kinds of nasty, nasty chemicals there. And in fact, right now I'm helping two guys, maybe three, for the prostate cancer because of Fort Knox, because Fort Knox is currently having a cleanup of a thing called TCE, trichloroethylene. And it is supposedly a known cause of prostate cancer. So the
Wow.
fact that you had boots on the ground there and you were there for more than a month, you were exposed to TCE. Now, Fort Dix is also even worse. That is a real, they got all kinds of nasty, nasty stuff. They're
I don't
including,
believe I've been at Fort Dix, but Fort
oh,
Knox
no,
would apply. And I do have issues from a chemistry type viewpoint, because when I was working for my major corporation, I was going down to my second facility. I used to work at 30 Rock as a young executive. I ran the budgets for the world, and I was an assistant board secretary. But anyway, in opening up another facility, because I was in charge of capital, when I stepped off the elevator, I was exposed to someone laying something which had plastic resin in it, and I ended up in the hospital for at least a month with a burning throat. In fact, I have throat issues right now that I have to go in the hospital to have an endoscopic to find out what's going on. I keep losing my voice.
okay, that may play into that. It may not. I mean,
Right.
the VA uses this thing called "it is as likely as not."
Got
Since
it.
you were on Fort Knox and it has been declared an EPA toxic cleanup site, then the VA happens to use this thing that it is as likely as not that the TCE could have caused the prostate cancer. Okay.
Well, yep.
Now, as a minimum, now, yes, you can contend all day long, well, I was exposed. I think I was exposed someplace else. Okay, if you are convinced that Fort Knox could have never, ever, ever have caused your prostate cancer, then fine, it's perfectly okay. So, but as I say, in the way the VA works,
Yep.
so it's your
Got
choice
it.
as to what other. Is there do you have essentially any other health issues that not could be, but do you have any? Period,
Well,
because
yeah,
there's a lot of
I,
things that you can get that you have that I found that people don't understand that could have been caused by your Army service.
yeah, well, in short, I have 50% function in my kidneys. I'm 82 years of age. I have serious heart conditions. I fundamentally had a 95% blockage December 5th, 2014 on the face of the Heart Orange program in Morristown, and they used me nationally, so I know that's saving lives. So I have a heart issue. I had 4 more heart stents put in the last 2 years. I now just learned that I have a very high score on obstructive sleep apnea, so I'm going to go into the hospital again for a mask situation. They say it's pretty extreme, so I got a lot going on. But
yeah, you sure do. In a way,
but all I do is help people. I don't take money for anything, and so I've been retired with the MS for 38 years. I just love helping people, and
yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here on the planet yet.
Well, that is the thing I do here, because I do this stuff for free because I am already 300% disabled, which
Good
is,
Lord, God bless you.
well, I've got 3 100%ers in the can, along with hypertension and AFib and a few other things. So, hey, I have put my email essentially into the chat. Okay, so.
Okay, I'm on the phone, so I don't see
Oh,
it on
oh,
the chat.
oh, okay.
So I can give you mine. I can tell you what it is, and you
Oh,
or
okay.
anyone that feels that there's anything that makes sense where I
Okay.
can be helpful to them. It's GYM, short for gymnasium.
Okay.
L as in lion, C as in cat. So it's GYMLC at yahoo.com, all capital letters. Because if you look at the L as a small l and send it to 1, this chaplain never sees it.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And what's your phone?
973
973
270
270
3742.
37. Okay,
And
just
you're
in
free to
case.
contact me anytime because I don't want to take up other people's time here.
Oh, no. No problem, because we have 2 hours, and so it'll be more than enough time to go through. As I said, the thing is, I try to assist vets to then understand the VA, understand the claims process,
Yep.
and of which the VA is not very well on explaining how to present your claim. I have a template that I've created. Also, I have documented all of this stuff, and I have examples about how I believe claims ought to be presented, because for the 22 years I worked as a civilian after I retired out of the Air Force, which was interesting to work with U.S. Government civilians, and I worked providing IT to claims folks all those
Wow.
times. So I got to know the claims people from the claims process kind of thing. And so, as I said, I got interested in VA claims at the time. I stuck in and for stage 4 prostate cancer, and I was classified as temporarily disabled. And I found out that it wasn't their fault. It was the way and where the VSO stated what I had. So
Got
then
it.
I decided to get smart. And so anyway, and it's all available for free, all the folks. Plus also I have some education on prostate cancer itself, because that was the first thing I did, and explaining about the testing process, also how you can screw the test up. I've got
Okay.
9 pages of things that can screw the test up. Half of them artificially jumps the number, which gets doctors really excited, and they give you MRIs and CT scans and et cetera, et cetera, and they don't find anything false positive. Oh, that test is no, the test was absolutely right. You screwed it up. Well, I screwed it up low. In other words, the number I saw was dropped artificially by about 38%, which snookered the doctors and snookered me. So anyway, I have all that stuff, and you are welcome to it.
Well, thank you. You sound like a wonderful resource, and I'll just mention it's my first time, but I would be delighted to be a resource to you. Or Matt also was, or Mark was a VA person that was on last time, the first time I was on, not the veterans group, but any of those people. I mean,
sure.
all I do is I help people, basically, as a chaplain.
Good. Okay, now I have a question for you. Are you interested in pursuing a VA claim?
I would be, based on what you're saying, because simply from what you said, I had no clue that there were any toxins down there. I'm familiar with Quantico for the Marines, and I've recommended that people who didn't know follow up on claims, but I'm a Marine associate and never even gave any thought to it in Fort Knox.
Yeah, and the thing I have actually been doing, I have been going around and building a repository of the different bases. Army has post, Air Force has bases, and the Navy's got, I guess, ports. I don't know. I am not a Navy, and trying to track down what they are or their current status. Bill, you have your hand up.
Yes, Navy has bases, by the way.
Navy has bases. Okay,
Jim,
thank you. Yes.
Sorry, Jim Kavanaugh. I would suggest that you peek in on the high risk group based on all the factors that you've got in addition to prostate cancer, because I think the advantage there is they're going to have people that have a lot of factors themselves. They'll have gone through things. Your treatment may be well underway. It may be fine. Some of your other factors, though, some of the people at the high risk group may be able to, lend you their experiences, and you may find it informative.
It makes a lot of sense, and I would concur with that because mine is complex. I'm going to go under anesthesia for both of these, and my heart doctor has graded the colonoscopy upper, or not colonoscopy, the endoscopy upper as intermediate risk, not low risk, because of the heart.
Yes, and in fact, anyway, I have heart issues too. That's one. Another thing, anyway, AnCan has that you might be interested is a MS group. So if you're interested in, because it sounds like you have a lot of experience MS wise, and that would be a great place to park you with your experience. I mean, that's
the good thing. The good thing is I could share some experience, but I've been very fortunate. I used to be on Solu-Medrol 36 years ago, and after it was very effective, but the head of the neurology or department basically said, Jim, the shelf life on you is about 5 weeks. But he says, I have to warn you, we're giving you this because we think the benefit outweighs the risk. But in your case, at some point in time, if you come in every 5 weeks to get more shots for 3 days in a row, there's a high risk that your adrenal gland will shut down. When I heard that, I just said, I'm going cold turkey, and I never did it since then. And what I found out, it may sound crazy to the group, but my best therapy, and I believe it's reconnecting neurons in the brain and so forth, is staying positive and helping people. The more I help people, the more it just seems that I get over these hurdles, and now I consider them puddles.
Oh, good. Hey, I will have to remember that one. The hurdles are now puddles. I like that. I thank you very much. Okay, anything else that you would like to ask or?
Well, my only question to the group, and I don't want to monopolize anything, is simply those that might have had be on Orgovix. There were 4 at the last situation that basically thought it was very potent and very powerful, and I can attest to that. But now I will go back to the doctor because I read this on my chart directly that this is the reading. So assuming it's not an anomaly, which I don't think it is, I think it's a true reading. My question to my doctor is going to be in a week and a half. Do you really want me on this for the full year and a half? I've been on it for 5 months. If it's almost indistinguishable by following the guidelines and taking the daily pill in addition to the very aggressive radiation that I had, equivalent with 29 or 40 weeks, it seems like things are going good. If I come off of it, maybe I can get some of my energy back. Do you want me off a doctor? Do you have any AI studies that basically say you shouldn't be going off of this early? That would be my only question.
Okay, well, that question would be surely addressed to the high risk group. And because a lot of people ask that question, and that would be a better one to ask. In fact, we will be meeting again on Tuesday at 6 p.m. And so the thing I can do, I have your address or I have your email address. I can enroll you in the high risk group, and also have you actually signed up for the veterans group? In other words,
appreciate it.
Who?
Appreciate it on both.
Oh, on both. Would you like me to also include you within the MS group?
I would say hold off only because I got so many doctor appointments. I mean, if you thought that it was worthwhile periodically for me to do it, I'd share my experience, but most of it is the first 3 or 4 years. The electricity symptoms that I had, mainly on my right side paresthesia, have largely been depressed. The more and more I have helped people, the more and more I've been positive and serving communion at church has really been an incredible booster. And people may think I'm crazy, but I have found it absolutely therapeutic.
I don't think you're crazy at all. I have my own story to tell sometime about the same thing. Okay, great, Guy. Well, spread the word that we are out here to help, and we take all comers here. Okay, Coasty man.
Yes, I'm here.
Coast Guard. Okay, how did you hear about us? I'm curious.
Yeah, I came to my first AnCan meeting back in March for prostate cancer. I think it was an active surveillance group.
Ah, yes.
And someone there mentioned that there was this veterans group, and you and I, Jim, did exchange emails back then in March. And I usually have something going on Tuesdays, and I didn't have anything this Tuesday, so I'm here.
Oh, okay, fine. We did exchange emails. Did I sign you up for the veterans group? In other words, did you get the veterans reminder?
I did get an email. Yes, I searched for AnCan, and I got an email for this group.
You did get an email for this group. Now, are you enrolled still within the active surveillance group?
I am getting their emails, although I think they encouraged me to go to the intermediate group, which I never did get
Okay.
signed up for. Yeah.
Okay. I take it you have not applied for a VA disability, or you have anything in the works, hypertension, bad knee, stub
Yeah.
toe?
Yeah, I spent 24 years on active duty, and right before I retired, I did submit a package. I think you mentioned
Okay.
VSO was one of those organizations to help me with it, and so I did get rated years ago, and then I got diagnosed. So that was 2010, and so I do get free VA health care. Although,
Well,
yeah,
you said, well, what is the rating? In other words, how much do you have?
90%.
Oh, you are 90. Oh, so you get also dental too, because
Okay.
you are 90 and 100. Okay. So you are 90. Where do you live offhand?
I live in Northern California, Sonoma
Ah,
County.
okay. So it isn't like here, because in Virginia and Maryland, if you're 100%, we are exempt from paying property taxes on our houses. And the taxes around here will take your breath away. Okay, that's cool. Okay. So, how can I try to help you besides maybe on the prostate cancer? Because have you taken the time to try to apply for it?
No, I haven't. That's probably what made me think of coming to this group. And our
Okay,
emails, we briefly exchanged a couple emails, but no.
right.
So I retired in 2010, and then I was diagnosed with Gleason 7 prostate cancer in 2019.
Ah,
So it's been about 6 years of active surveillance.
okay,
Um, and I have not applied for, I haven't gone to the VA knows I have prostate cancer, but I haven't done anything in terms of, asking
right.
them to change my rating or anything.
Okay, in your Coast Guard, were you ever deployed into the Middle East
No.
at all? Okay. What did you do in the Coast Guard?
Well, the closest I came to toxic stuff was I was at age 23. I was commanding officer of a Loran station in the middle of the Pacific next to Midway Island, and we had a lot of PCBs, and like we were closing down the station, so we were moving a bunch of stuff around. Like literally, I put on a white suit and helped move toxic stuff around. Um, and So yeah, and then I was also on a buoy tender, from the 1930s that had asbestos and stuff. So I was, yeah, operational mostly in Hawaii. Both of those were in Hawaii. Yeah.
Okay. So you were dealing around mainly diesel engines and all of that stuff?
Yeah, the only power on the island was big diesel generators. We were putting out like a
Okay.
megawatt of power.
The
Yeah.
diesel generators, and now your shore stations, where were they at?
Yeah, they were, let's see. Well, I was out of uh, Coast Guard base in Honolulu. And then, well, I was at the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut for 4 years before that.
Okay.
And then I was in the DC area off of Telegraph Road at the
Oh, yes.
Telecommunications Command. Yeah,
Yeah,
TISCOM
I
for a
know it
number of
well.
years. Yeah, 2 years, then went to grad school, then 2 years back there. And then I was stationed at Point Reyes National Seashore in Northern California with high frequency, stuff, communications. And then training center here in California, in Petaluma. And yeah, then Alameda, California, and Portsmouth, Virginia.
Alameda and Portsmouth. Now, in the high frequency rate, high frequency comm area. That's interesting because as a part of the PACT Act, believe it or not, and the PACT Act actually has three particular components. It has the Agent Orange folks like us, Southeast Asia, the Desert Wars, Southwest Asia, and it also has radiation exposure
Yeah.
as a third component, and that has a laundry list of stuff. So that's an
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
area to look at.
Yeah, I think the guys that were on Loran stations, like I was on isolated duty for 5 months next to a megawatt transmitter. There was like some serious power come out of those Loran stations,
Yeah,
and so I think some of those guys have gone the radiation exposure route. And I did also have some kind of cancer on my face. I think it was like squamous cell or something
right.
that happened since I put in my paperwork with the VA. So yeah, I was exposed to radiation, no doubt. But yeah, so I tried to get in with the PACT Act when they first came out with it, but my email address with the VA was screwed up, so I didn't apply within the window. But I'm not too worried about
Well, it isn't a window. Okay, that was strictly the PACT Act came out August the 22nd. Okay, and they gave you until 1 year to apply. And even if you did not do the intent to file, anytime that you did the intent to file in that year, it would always be backdated back to August the 22nd of 2022. But you can apply anytime at all. It's just that you'll be paid to either the intent to file date or the date your claim is submitted. So if you're interested in attempting to do another attempt at that, the thing I do tomorrow is I would call up 1-800-827-1000 and say the magic words. I want to intent to file.
it. Okay.
And that's all that you have to do. You don't have to tell them why, wherefore, what. Just on record, it says, in the next year, I intend to submit a claim for something.
Okay.
Okay. And if you do not submit a claim in that year, it just magically goes away.
All
So
right.
from tomorrow, there's a year to put together a claim. And if you're interested, I would be happy to help you craft that narrative.
Okay.
Okay, because that's probably the hardest part of trying to communicate with VA civilians who are maybe not military types and they may not understand the military. And when you create the claim, you actually should be speaking VA. Of course, they never have a language book for it, but I've looked hard enough at all of the questions they might ask and all of the possible ratings to try to learn to speak VA. So everything happens to match up.
All
So,
right. Yeah, I
okay.
would appreciate your help with that. Yeah, I haven't put anything in since before I retired. That was probably 2010. So it's been was that 15 years? Yeah, I haven't done anything in
Oh,
terms of
okay,
filing. Yeah.
that's fine, but you're still 90, and the difference between 90 to 100 is like 31,000 goes up to 42,000. There's a gigantic jump. Now, interesting enough, on the prostate cancer, uh, if you're on active surveillance, you would be jumped to 100% in a temporary mode. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, because you are already 90 for other things, you would be entitled to extra money. It's called uh, special monthly compensation, and it's about an extra $515 or $520 a month. And I take it, and for the sake of Jim Kavanaugh, who
Yes.
has been treated with all this stuff, there is another thing that you could be entitled to, but I wouldn't tell your wife this if you are married, or your sweetheart if you're not, is
She passed
because
away.
of all of the treatment, it don't work no more. In other words, the VA has determined our value in the boudoir. And if it no longer is functioning, there is a special monthly compensation, like a loss of a foot, loss of a leg. Well, this is called loss of use of creative organ, which is a
Well, she passed
special.
in 2000. She passed in 2017.
Well,
So I
that's
don't think that would apply in this case because I was
no, well,
diagnosed. Go
it
ahead.
applies to you because you still have a thing called loss of use of creative organ,
Yep,
just
that's
like the
true.
loss of foot or well, this is a function, and it
Yep.
applies to men and women, since the women started to carry guns, shoot at people, tick people off, and they started to shoot back. Okay.
Got it.
They can have loss of use of creative organ, and it's worth $136.06 a month extra.
Well,
So it's just
well,
something you could be entitled to.
well, it's incredible. I also know from what the gentleman had just spoken about, I've had about 50 procedures for skin cancers. I assumed that it was because I was dumb when I was a kid and got sun exposure. I'm Irish by descent, but I've had 50 dose operations.
Yep. Yep. A lot of us. I was raised on the beaches of Florida, so I
Yep.
got a little bit of sunshine too.
Yep.
Okay, Max, is there anything else that
No.
you would
Nope,
like to cover?
No, I'll take your advice, which you also emailed me in March to call that number soon, and then
Oh,
I'll
okay, good.
touch base with you to maybe start thinking about submitting some kind of a claim adjustment or whatever you'd call it.
Actually, the hardest thing for both of you to do will be is to establish service connection. In other words, under the PACT Act, it was easy because there's all these presumptive things. All a person had to do was have boots on the ground in Southeast Asia, boots on the ground, Southwest Asia, and there was this long list of things that if you got, it was no questions, you know, we caused it, you get money. But if you don't have that, then the service connection argument has to be made and presented to them, to the VA benefits people. And that has to pass, because if it isn't sold, then the claim that you are going to put forth will be denied, because they're saying it isn't the fault of the Army or the Coast Guard. So that's the thing I try to do, is to come up with the scientific facts and the studies and all kinds of things. Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Let me see here. I have to do something first here. I gotta make. Okay, Colonel Jordan, you are now a organizer. Just in case I get bumped off or something, the whole thing will not disappear. Okay.
No worries. Thanks.
Okay, great. Let's see here. Okay, Hank, I think you had something to bring up or anything, or a question or a comment.
I was just going to give you a quick update because
Oh,
it's been
good.
several cycles since I've been dialed in. So, quick refresh. I'm biochemical recurrent on prostate cancer. I'm a Gulf War guy. And, with the encouragement of this group, I did my intent to file back in February, which was right shortly after I went recurrent. Um, it's been kind of a good news story since then, so I'm happy about that. At the same time that I had the recurrence, I went hard over on the UCSF prostate cancer diet. And although I was experiencing a doubling rate of about every 5 months for about a year and a half prior to that, curve is flattened out. So that's a really good news story. I also did a PSMA PET scan, and they couldn't detect any tumor growth anywhere. So also good news story. So how that kind of ties into this group is I've held off on actually submitting my claim actual, just waiting to see how things are going to settle out. I have a appointment with my oncologist, that's Channing Peller, in July, and I'll have another PSA test between now and then. So we'll see how things are tracking and see what kind of documentation the doctor is willing to give me on what my status is. But it might be a good news story. I'd be happy to not file the claim if my PSA goes to zero and I end up with a clean bill of health.
No, if you are recurrent, like you said you were recurrent,
Mhm.
where was it detected in the body?
So that's the tricky bit here is it's
Okay.
only been detected through the PSA tests. The PSA is above a point 0.2, which is the definition of recurrence. When they did the scan, they couldn't find anything.
Okay, but
So it's
that
only through blood work right now.
it's only through blood work.
Yeah.
So what happens, let's say that you say, okay, I think I have been cured, and a year from now you do not apply, intent to file goes away, and all of a sudden, a year after that, they
Right.
find it, and now what you've done is you have gone out and cheated yourself out of a year to 2 years.
No, I'm tracking with what you're saying, and I'm not going to let
Okay,
it go that far. I'm going to just wait till this July when I see the
okay,
oncologist and see, because Dr. Powler might slap me around and say, "No, you dummy, you're not cured. Here's what's really going on." So, I want to hear how strongly, because she's going to have to submit a, a concurring statement with my submission, and I want to hear from her what the strength of her concurring statement is going to be.
okay. Well, actually, that's called a letter from her will be nexus.
Mhm.
And all that she has to do is to confirm that you are indeed stage 4. And the way I would suggest that it's written is because we are dealing with VA civilians and I don't take chances, I couch it as stage 4, incurable, terminal, metastatic prostate cancer. Okay. And because in the beginning, the VSO first put it in as metastatic prostate cancer, which actually can be stage 3 or 4. So at the 6 month point, at the time I had another C and P exam, that's what I did. And magically, I was upgraded to 100% permanent and total. So it's your choice. It would be a very easy thing to do. All that you need is the uh, to substantiate that you do have prostate cancer is then essentially a biopsy in the beginning, and it could just be within the gland. That's fine. That says you
right. And in my case,
you
you know,
have it.
I did the radical prostatectomy back in
Right,
2017 and radiation right after that. So that's all
right.
documented.
And so the that would establish that you had it at some point, and then a nexus out of her that says he is currently recurring and under constant treatment. And it would be a very simple thing. Plus, also, because you did the radical, you would also file for loss of use of creative organ as secondary to the treatment you had for the prostate
Right.
originally.
Right.
And that should get you in, and it'll be 100% permanent and total. Colonel Boykin. You're muted.
Yeah, I had a notepad over it. Sorry, guys. I was going to say one thing, kind of, and I don't want to be like reading between the leaves, but Dr. Channon, the doctor, does not have to provide a prognosis of where she thinks on your claim where it's going to in the
Right.
future. She needs to do a diagnosis of your current state.
Yes. It's a diagnosis, not a prognosis.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
Okay, so and we at the time that you get prepared to do this, and how about to let me know?
Yep.
I take it I sent you a sample of a claim I did, and you can just mirror that.
Right. And this is just kind of a memory refresher for you, Jim, because it's been a while now. But back in February, I had sent you some stuff also, which kind of lays out my whole history of the disease and all that sort of stuff. So I'm pretty close to being able to sign, seal, and deliver it. I've been figuring that it would be useful to wait until the July meeting with Dr. Powler and then pull the trigger on the claim after that.
Okay, the thing I will offer is that I like to review the forms before you put them in, because I can tend to submit a fully developed claim. Yes. And the catch, as I found out myself, if you make a mistake on the form, of which I did for my heart, and they had to contact me, that turned my fully developed claim into a standard claim, and it went back into a gigantic queue, and it took it probably an extra 2.5 months to resolve. So I like to just go through, make everything is done.
I have no intent to submit without the captain's approval.
Oh, it isn't an approval. It's just a sort of
I know
sanity check. Benefit. 2 heads are better than one. And also, Hank, I don't know, this is a Washington, D.C. area, but I found this great little cafe. It's the American Legion Post 176 in Springfield.
Yeah.
That has a nice little cafe that serves a great breakfast and lunch. And it draws a lot of vets in there.
My son played on that Post's baseball team for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So next time I meet you for breakfast or lunch, we'll go there instead of to
Yeah,
Fort
sure.
Lauderdale.
I do a lot for food.
Yes. Got it.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, great, Hank. Okay, Richard, I think you had
may I just pop in?
Oh, sure.
Ahead of you. Rich, just a very quickie. I'm coming in a little early today because I got to leave in a few minutes because I've actually got I've got a food date with somebody who has uh, glioblastoma. Not just me; they're already eating. I'm just going over there, and they know me. Um, and I won't say more than that because Sylvester's heard it because he just heard this in the Care Partners group. I may have a referral for you. I just want to make sure that you feel comfortable with it. But it's a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine for 50 years, his stepdaughter, who is about to have a double mastectomy
Hmm.
and has TRICARE from 20 years of service and coming out as a master sergeant, I think. And she's opted to have her care at the VA rather
Hmm.
than the hospital in Arkansas. I have no idea what, whether she'll even accept any um, navigation. But I feel sure that if she did, that you would probably find claims that she hasn't thought of. She was involved with nuclear maintenance.
Oh, yes. I mean, she is covered under the PACT Act for sure.
Right.
And there's a
So,
laundry list of things.
okay. So she's just about to get her surgery, so I suspect that Fred's decided just to leave it for the time being. Her mother's also going through some issues right now, so but I will let Fred know that if she does come in, I mean, she wasn't aware. Fred wasn't aware. She may be. Fred wasn't aware that she can claim for the mastectomy, for loss of whatever it is, and so I will tell her. I will drop Fred a line and say yes, we have the knowledge, and she should think about joining the group.
Right.
The other big news that I heard today, gents, all of you, every one of you in this room, is that we have 2 dates set up for the Veterans Art class, and
Oh,
we will be sending out supplies free. We got funding for
okay.
this. We've got freebie supplies. So this is just like our monthly art class that we run, except it comes with supplies. And so, and Miss Hannah will be teaching it. We did this a couple of years ago. The vets loved it. And I don't know the dates. I don't know when. You'll have to sign up, and then Hannah will send you supplies. The classes are about 4 months apart. Um, but Johnson and Johnson and Blue Earth Diagnostics are sponsoring it,
Oh,
and
wow.
so just want to keep you all posted, and you'll be hearing more about this.
Okay.
And I don't know what her topics are. I don't know what her thoughts, what she's going to have you do. There'll be different things, but it should be great. Causley, you better put your creative cap on, man. You know, you know, we can't get him in. Has Causley come to the creative writing class yet, Colonel?
Yes, I attend. Uh-huh.
Yes, he's there with me.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
The
all
ladies are still out writing us, which means they're more creative. But me and Cosley are there.
right, okay. Well, yeah, I will also tell you that we have had, and I think Boykin was part of this, but Dr. John certainly was. We have had discussions about a vet's creative writing class, um, but we have to get more comfortable, and the concern is that it could be very triggering, and so we have to be able to manage the group. And so that's where that is. But it's not, it's very much on the radar, and we haven't got it. So anyway, guys, that's really what I wanted to say. And I will hang on a few more minutes and then I'll drop out. But I hope you all have a very good meeting.
Yes. And Rick is the founder of the AnCan, started many, many years ago. And I thank you for dropping in to see us. And also, Rick, on the call is Jim Kavanaugh. He has MS.
Oh,
And so I was attempting to talk him in. He has many years of MS and
yeah,
some
yeah.
very interesting perspectives on it. So,
Yeah, Jim, we have a really solid MS group. It meets twice a month. It meets on the second Tuesday at this time. No, at 5:30. It starts at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30. So it starts half an hour later. It's in the other room, and if you let us have your email address, or if Jim has it, we'll make sure we sign you up for the reminder. The other meeting is an early meeting. It's like a midday meeting, and it's on the fourth Tuesday. And it's a very, very solid group and very good. Actually, we have a third one too. We have an MS meeting for people under 45.
Jim has permission to give you my email address to try that. I've had MS for 39 years, but it fortunately is latent right now. But if anyone can benefit from my knowledge, I was on Solumetrol. I don't take any medicines now.
So it sounds like you're secondary progressive. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we'd love to have you in. I mean, if you want to give me your email, if you don't mind, give me your email. I'll write it down right now, and I'll put you in the database when I get back.
It's GYM, as in short for gymnasium, L as in lion, C as in cat, at yahoo.com, all capital letters.
Okay, hold on a minute, and you're gonna have to go there. I got the yahoo.com, but can you please repeat the first part?
GYM, short for gymnasium.
Yep.
L as in lion, C as in cat. GYMLC.
Got it.
All capital letters.
Got it. We'll put you in. You'll see it there. It's like I say, it's in a different room. We would love to have you there. One of the other people that I am going to be seeing in a few minutes, her husband has secondary progressive, and he was actually at Mayo today. We are, yes, we're pretty familiar, and we would love to have you. And there's so much knowledge, and they're really, really, really good people. So we'll put you in. We'll put you in.
Rick,
by the way, Jim, this lady who who has the breast cancer, her stepdad, who's my buddy, is on our advisory board. So that's the connection to AnCan. And I was in grad school with him 50 years ago.
Oh, wow. Another thing, Rick, Jim is currently being treated for the prostate cancer. I guess he had SPRT, and he's on ADT now and with Orgovix.
Okay.
Should he be in the high risk group or the low risk group?
High risk if he's on ADT.
Right. Okay. Well, then sign him up for that one too at the same time.
Okay, we will.
And the veterans group, make sure he is in the veterans group.
I will make
I think
sure.
he is.
I will make sure that he is. And Jim, you can also. I'll put you on the low risk too, because you might want to talk to those guys about the experience of SBRT. But any issues that you're having around longer term use of ADT is not for that group. It's really for the high risk group.
And he does have questions about that.
Okay,
He
we'll
posed them, but I deferred him to the high risk group because
right.
there's a lot
And
more
any
experts
questions you
than
have
me.
on your ADT should be voiced in the high risk recurrent advanced group, not the low intermediate group.
Right.
Okay. And by the way, and I know I see you're calling in, Jim. If you can get in on your laptop or something, it's a better experience. First of all, you see that good-looking man.
Sylvester and
No,
Parsley.
I was going to say with a cap on, and you see him. But also we have a chat window, and there's a lot that goes on in that chat window, so you can get to them. Now, and sometimes you might see the gentleman from West Virginia. This sounds like I'm in the Senate here. Or is it the gentleman from West Virginia with his Easter bonnet on as well? You might see that as well.
And tonight you got Butch from West Virginia, so
Oh,
we're
that's
all
right. We got
well.
your buddy
That's
Butch
right.
as
We
well.
got Butch. We're here.
Right.
West Virginians are taking over us. All right, Richard, I deferred you for too long. The floor is yours.
But hey, before we start, I saw in the AnCan email that you got that recognition. You remember for the letters of recommendations?
Yeah, thank you, guys.
That was really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, we've got more than that. We also yesterday got our Candid Platinum updated to 2025 as well.
Oh,
so
good.
we're now updated for another year, and then we'll be chasing people again. But thank you, everybody, for the laudatory acclaim.
Right.
Thank you, Hank. Okay.
Okay.
Bye. See you guys. Goodbye.
Okay, take care. Okay, Richard, we're on you, and we were. I was about to complete your claim, but the draft of the narrative, and the only thing was I got a little confused because you were talking about artillery, and I couldn't quite figure out how a transportation guy was shooting guns. So I think I have it right now.
Now we were always next to them. They needed what we had.
Yes, you were supplying the ammo. Right.
I was a heavy vehicle operator, but just to update everybody, I was responding to Jim Marshall's email where he asked me some basic questions in preparation to defend my residuals, which will come up in about, I guess about 5 months. So we're working on building a case for that. But my question to you, Jim, you asked me the basic about how long was I in the Army, where was I stationed, but then your question was, what kind of job did I have at each base that I was at? So my question was that I gave you a list of 21 locations that I was at. These are the things that, those of you who are in the service, particularly Vietnam, the helmet liners we used to write things on them. And every time we would go to an LZ, a camp, a fire base, I would always write the name of it so that you'd have a list. And I had 21 on there. So my question to you is, in many of those things, things happened, even though I was there for maybe for 4 or 5 hours or a night or two, something happened. So my question, how much of a narrative do you want me to write on each one of those?
Well, actually, I'm going to synopsis it or to boil it down because actually, I think you are putting in for hearing problems and tinnitus. So the fact for the prostate cancer, that is presumptive because you had boots on the ground.
Right.
So who cares if you were in Dong Ha or Saigon? You
Right.
know, it doesn't make any difference. Of course, it was a lot better in Saigon. I can attest to that one. But no, I will take care of that, and I'll probably finish it up by the end of the week. I might be able to do it tomorrow. I will hit you the draft, and then you can go through it, and after that, we'll figure out if it's all set to go. Okay?
Okay. Very good. I appreciate
Okay,
that.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Oops. No. Okay, Butch, do you have something to bring up, an update or anything?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Mark. How you doing? I've been trying to figure out. Of course, I still got the prostate cancer residuals at 60%, and I got hearing loss at 0% and tinnitus at 10%.
Right.
And it adds up to VA mass is like 68%, rounded off to 70%.
Right.
Okay. Well, a couple months ago, I applied. Well, several months ago, I applied for my GERD problem because I had in the service.
Okay.
When I was off the coast of Vietnam, and they say it was a pre-existing condition, and it's just a way of life. You know what I mean? I'll put that in the narrative of how it says. So I was denied that, along with my hiatal hernia and Barrett's esophagus and
right. Yes.
I may have mentioned it at one time. So I've been thinking about it, and so I contacted a lawyer's office to get some legal assistance.
Okay.
I was wondering if that's okay to do.
Oh,
Because
it's
being that it's a pre-existing condition, they frown upon granting any service connection for that. And I don't know how to get it any type of get it service connected. But the VA's already got it documented or diagnosed. I have all that stuff because I just went through a bunch of EGDs and barium swallows and everything like that. So I've had that in the last couple of months. And but now they're looking at I might also have IBS potential, they say. So, but that's another story. When I was talking to to make a long story short, because I get pretty talkative sometimes. The lawyer or assistant, whoever she was, she says that I am eligible for this TDIU stuff, which I never heard of. I thought it was something you eat, but it's some type of a
right.
disability claim. I don't know if you all knew anything about that or you referred me to somebody.
Sure do.
They just sent me all this paperwork today to fill out, and I'm not too sure I want to do that, but I just wanted to get an opinion.
Okay. Okay. There are two approaches, or actually maybe three approaches you can take. You can go get in with a lawyer and try to fight for GERD. And in general, if you have GERD and it gets to be service connected, then if you've got hiatal hernia and also a thing called Barrett's esophagus, that's where in the esophagus, if you damage esophageal cells, when they regenerate, they turn into stomach cells. And those are considered to be precancerous. It's 40% for that. So even if you did all of this stuff, let's say you got GERD, you got the Barrett's esophagus, you got the hiatal hernia, it might bump you up to 90. Okay? And
Yes, sir.
but the deal is the lawyer's going to get a cut out of this if they accept a case. And it's usually, it can be anywhere from 30 to 50% of the increase for 1 year. And hey, now option 2 is, I know you've gone through the prostate cancer and you're on ADT continuously now, and there's no end in sight. Is that right?
I was just there 3 months ago for another shot.
Right.
And he's saying that Dr. Whitman says he's going to give me this will be my third year of taking this stuff.
Right.
He says he's going to give me one more shot at the end of the year, and he's going to call it good. He says my PSA is undetectable.
Well, yes,
right now.
it is because of the shot. So at the time they happen to stop the shot, then it could take up to a year for the testosterone to recover, if it does at all. Mine quit after 5 years on it, which isn't such a bad thing. Now, TDIU says, let me ask you this. If you wanted to, could you go out and hold down a job 40 hours a week and go back to work? Yes or no?
This way, no.
Okay.
I retired.
Right.
To make it to answer the question is no, because I retired in 2008. I haven't worked a day since.
Well, it isn't a question that you retired. It's from your condition that you've got now with all of the side effects and all of that stuff. I think it would be very hard for a person like you to go try to do a 40 hours, whatever you did in the office or as a plumber or a painter or what. So the thing that you could be entitled to if you apply is a thing called TDIU, total disability, individual unemployability. What that will do is that will take you from the 70% and bump you up to 100% with getting paid at 100%. And for a certain amount of time, you'll be 100% temporarily disabled. And at some point, if they determine that, this is going to continue because there isn't any chance that you could return to the workplace, you can be 100% TDIU permanent and total. And this will get you to 100% collecting $42.33 a month. And you are entitled to it, I believe. So I would seriously consider it.
I don't. I've been doing a little research on it since that lady told me about it.
Right.
And I've had, she can't answer. She won't answer the question I will have to have a CMP exam for each and every service-connected disability that I have.
Well,
would have to
you
go
got
back
the
in.
prostate cancer and you've got hearing. Okay, so what's the problem?
Oh, hypertension and ED. That was my question. I don't. I'm at the point. I'm only asking for an opinion because I don't want to fill all the damn paperwork out and agree to it, and then I wish I had never done it. Because if I can get service connected, like you said, for my GERD and everything,
Well,
it gets me at around 80-90%. Then maybe my IBS will get service connected and get me up there at 95% or something.
no,
Yeah.
it is very unusual. The closer you get to 95%, the harder it is to get there because of the way they happen to figure the math. Mark, West Virginia Mark.
Hey, Butch.
How you doing, Marcus?
Um,
Nice.
I think this situation that you're in right now and what you're concerned about. I think you need to get a hold of Mikey and go in and sit down with him and just tell him, how you feel and the concerns that you have, and your unemployability is a true fact. I mean, you're actually in worse shape than I am, and it's something that you need to go in and sit across the desk with Mikey and just explain to him that that you're wanting to file this paperwork with an intent. If Mikey says, no, I don't think that's going to work, and just say, well, I still want to file it and I need your assistance, because the worst thing they can say is no. And with that, Mike will have to assist you in filling out that paperwork. The one thing you have to understand is unemployability is something that people used to do to slide under the 100%. Now times it's because of individuals like yourself. You just can't work. I mean, you just can't work, and so you need to go with your paperwork. I would forget about the lawyer right now, and I would take my paperwork and go to Mikey and sit across from him and say, I want to put in this claim. Now, the captain's right that you might have to do an examination for each one of these, but you've been through that examination process before, and you've done well as far as your ADT. You're going to finish that up. I finished mine up. You're going to be able to finish yours up and get those numbers right. But you have some issues with incontinence, and you have GERD, and you have all these other issues, and you need to sit across from Mike and just say, I've been on 30% for 2 years, and it's not getting any better, and I need to file a new claim and just start adding to it. You can sit across from these doctors. You've done it before, and you'll be able to do it again. I know it's stressful for you, but it's something that you need to do, and just sit across from Mike and just say, this is what I got, and we've got to work together as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to contact several times in the past couple of months, and he was never in the office. So I got tired of trying to call. So
Well,
that might be worth a courtesy call, find out something.
yeah, well, there's also this time of year they're busy, but there's there's two of them in there. So just make your appointment and get your paperwork ready, like Captain said, and go in there with I'm unemployable, and he might give you some documentation and say, well, go around and try to get a job at 3 different places, but uh, just just do what Mike says, and it's just you gotta
It was
go ahead.
it was just a suggestion by the lawyer's office and Marcus and Captain and I don't know how many folks. I really don't like the idea of doing that personally. I'd rather go up the ladder as far as I can and do it that way.
I understand,
But,
Butch. I understand, Butch. But you listened to me, Butch, 3 years ago, and look where it's got you. So you need to calm down again and get that paperwork ready, and then keep bringing that phone number and make an appointment to get over there. If Mike's not there, use the other guy and just go in and say, I want to start a claim, and just get your stuff ready. And
okay. I have to think through it. So I hadn't done anything as far as mailing any paperwork or anything. It's just it's been crossing my mind because it seems like the older I'm getting, I'll keep coming up with other things going wrong. So but I don't know about getting it all service connected to see if there's other new stuff.
Butch, you got Chaplain Jim over here, and I'm gonna tell you something. You need to do this. This is yours. This is for you. You got to stay on top of it, son. You just got to keep plugging at it, and just remember what I said. I understand you, son. I really do. I know you better than anybody else on the screen tonight. Quit worrying. Call me later, and we'll work on this together as a team. We'll get that paperwork straightened out. But you got to make an appointment right as soon as you can, maybe tomorrow, just to get the ball rolling. Again, you're going to do it again and again and again. I've been doing it since '78. And Richard's up there nodding his head too. Just keep going, keep pulling the sled, son. Keep pulling the sled.
The stress level has gotten to me a little bit, anxiety and all that. So, but anyway, I don't want to burn y'all's ear. I appreciate it.
Well, I want you to know, everybody that's on here tonight, we understand and we love you as a veteran. So that's the one thing you've hung in there all night long, and I appreciate your call.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Colonel.
Hey, I just wanted to say, Butch, our jobs as the veterans is to apply for the benefits that we're entitled to. We don't get to make the rules. The government's already done that and determined this stuff. But you can't get stuff if you don't apply. And the process could be tedious, but you shouldn't self-eliminate yourself from things that you're already entitled to. Let the government tell you that. They're not giving you the benefits now, so they're not going to take anything away and make it worse. So behind Mark, you should apply.
Yeah, I hear. Okay. That was one of my questions I meant to ask is real quickly. If I would, can they take my 70% disability away if I get denied for TDIU or?
Negative.
I mean, these are questions I have in the back of my mind because I can't find no literature on it. I've been trying to Google it.
Negative. And Butch, in the condition you are a shoo-in for TDIU. Of the guys I've seen do it, you are at the top of the list. You are the most deserving one I know.
I wouldn't hire you to mow my grass. How's that sound? Right? I wouldn't hire you to wash my windows. You're so. Now I'd let you borrow my buggy. I'd let you borrow my little buggy that I'm running around. I'll let you do that, but man, I wouldn't let you mow my grass.
Well, I use a ride mower, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, Cosley. You're up.
I was going to say to
anyway.
him. I was going to say to him that I'm similarly situated to him in having 70% and subsequently applied for unemployability, and I really didn't have any issues getting it. they evaluated my claim in a very timely manner and approved me in no time. So
Oh, here we go. We got Cosley, who was 70% TDIU, and now, Cosley, at this point, are you TDIU temporary, or did they award you TDIU P and T?
you know, I heard you mention that earlier, and I really don't know, but given that I've been in this status for since 2014.
Oh,
I'm assuming that I'm TNP. I know I'm TNP with the 70%, but I really don't know for the TDIU what that is. So I need to look into it.
okay. Now,
But I've been enjoying this benefit for since 2014.
well, interesting enough. Okay. Oh, well, here, you had something to bring up, you said, and let's do that first before I make a comment. Okay. I think you said that you wanted to make a comment or something.
No, I did not. I'm
Oh,
just making a comment
oh,
on
okay.
the
So
discussion that's going on here at this
uh,
moment.
let me go to Dan first. Dan, is there anything that you would like to ask or?
No, I'm good. I got some things for tomorrow night at the active surveillance, but
Okay, okay, okay. And Colonel Boykin, I take it there isn't anything that you're going to hang up?
Nope, I'm
No.
good. Thank you.
And finally, Sylvester, is there anything you would like to add?
No, thank you. Very interesting discussions.
Okay, let us go back to Cosley's situation because he brings up a very interesting topic. And if you read the reminder, I had a very interesting week as far as DIC go, trying to get a widow whose Marine husband was non-retired and he died in 2015, and she then got her DIC, but for some reason they would only pay her back to 2022. So under 8 years, she's getting 1,653 a month. But if you are 100% and non-retired and you die, the wife is entitled to what you'll see as USID. Well, if you go to the military bases and you talk to the pass and ID folks, they will take it as a United States ID, but it really means a uniform services ID, the same ID we get and your wife gets, okay? And the thing that happens at the time, if you're non-retired and you die, what happens, DOD locks your military records out in Seaside, California, at a place called DMDC, Defense Manpower Data Center. And it's somewhere around Monterey. And so every time that they tried to access his records, they were locked. And the pass and ID folks assumed that it was the fact that she wasn't now entitled to this ID card. So as I said, over I went and we had a lively discussion, and finally it got kicked upstairs about 3 levels because it took some special, almost a civilian general, to unlock his records so they could verify he was a veteran. Okay, long and short is, getting back to Cosley, this will directly affect you and your wife. I take it, Cosley, are you married?
I am. Yes, sir.
Okay. The deal is, okay, I went through the fact that if you die prior to 10 years, that you have to die of a service connection on the death certificate for her or the spouse to collect money. But it turns out that TDIU counts as 100% disabled. So if you've been 100% even TDIU for 10 years, when you die, your wife will be automatically entitled to DIC, which is about $3,200 a month. So it doesn't have to be service connected. The fact you were disabled 100%, which means also you could be 100% TDIU, doesn't make any difference. It still applies.
That's good to know. That's good information.
Well, that's good information for her, but it means that you're worth a lot dead.
Now, let me ask you a quick question about it.
Okay.
How complex is the process? Not saying I'm going to be kicking the bucket tomorrow.
Right.
But how complex is the process that she would face in making that claim?
Well, all that she would have to do is to put in a DIC claim. In other words, on that 526EZ in the top box, there is the FDC, there is the standard claim. I believe up there you will see something about DIC. And the way I understand, it's not that difficult around here. The lady went to the Virginia State Veterans Office and they handled everything and it flew right through, no problems at all.
Okay, fantastic.
But in your case, you are military retired or not?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. So she'd have the same issues when she went, like if she's going to start using Fort Belvoir for shopping, right? Post exchange, commissary. She would be entitled to that USID card, which is Uniform Services ID card, just like if you had been retired, a dependent ID card, with the exception is she will not get DEERS. DEERS is TRICARE.
Right.
Okay. And so Fort Belvoir was not attuned to the thing I went through over at Fort Myer, because Fort Myer, it took like 2 levels upstairs to finally educate the pass and ID folks that indeed, because he was not retired and he died at 100%, she was entitled to that same dependent ID card without DEERS on it. So that might be a hurdle to explain that your records are out in Seaside, California, in DMDC, and they're locked. And it takes a person of great authority to unlock them. So that might be the only catch.
Well, not to presuppose anything, Jim, but
Okay.
suppose what would be good affirmative steps to take at this juncture, while we're still healthy and alive and kicking? What affirmative steps would be good to take to sort of smooth that transition?
Well, that one, I don't think there's any steps you can take short of going out and educating pass an ID folks, and they are probably going to look at you with a dim eye to say, who are you to try to tell us our job?
Yeah.
But having a person there sitting there saying, look, I've got all of the VA forms, and there's a number of forms that the VA gave her, and I will have to get with her, and I want to find out what, at the time she applied for the DIC and was awarded of, the VA gave her a number of special VA forms completed, telling her that she was entitled to whatever she's entitled to. I did not get a chance to actually look at those and to inventory them and to try to understand it, because this is a very unusual case. It's a non-retired veteran that dies at 100%, and in her case, the cause of death was indeed on the death certificate. No questions asked. It was Agent Orange related. But plus also, she is entitled to VA health care. CHAMP VA,
Right.
which you say, well, she's got Medicare too. Well, yes, she would have Medicare, but her Part B health could be CHAMP VA, exactly like for us in a retirement. I've got Medicare, and a Part B could be TRICARE for life. So it works exactly the same. And the CHAMP VA, the way I understand, is very inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked up, I thought I looked up the rates last year, and it was like $800 a year, which is not bad at all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all good information, Jim. Thanks for sharing
Okay.
that. Can I share something real quick?
Sure.
I'm reading an article here in a local throwaway magazine that I picked up at somewhere earlier today, and there's an interesting article here on ED, and for anybody who has an interest, and they said these are two doctors talking, and he says we are seeing in treating ED with shock therapy. Shock therapy stimulates the blood vessels and stimulates stem cells for regrowth, and we can see a curative situation with that. I didn't know that was available, so I guess if anybody has an interest, that's probably something that we could speak to our treating professionals about, shock therapy.
Well, that's true for ED, but remember, those of us with prostate cancer do not have ED. ED is dysfunction. We've
Right.
got malfunction.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it's a bit different. I mean, every Tom, Dick, Harry out there, could have ED. But as I
Yeah, I
said,
don't know what stage of the game they're mentioning this. The article
well,
didn't
I
say,
think
but,
it is ED. It's
yeah, it's
it is
regular ED.
mistaken when a VSO gets then a prostate cancer person in, and they believe that we have ED, where I have bumped into a lot of prostate cancer folks that the VSO doesn't understand loss of use of creative organ. And they put them in for ED, and ED will always be rated, or most always, 99% of the time, it will be 0. I've seen ED rated at 10% and 20% for conditions like a urinary condition. The person had a urinary issue in the kidneys, and he got ED at 20. of course, I don't know how it was interrelated because I didn't see the actual explanation. All I saw was the award. And that was interesting to say, well, you can get something for ED, but not for the prostate cancer.
So Jim,
So
then
far,
in the event I'm having a conversation with my treating
okay.
professional, like I'm seeing my general practice family doctor on Monday for a semi-annual physical. So if I want to engage in a discussion with her about this, I should be using malfunction as opposed to
Well, actually, what you have now, is this a VA doctor or is this a private doctor?
no, a VA doctor.
Well, it's loss of use of creative organ. Now, there
So if I was going
are,
to ask her, if I was going to ask her to revise my medication, like for instance, I have a prescription for 5 milligram Cialis, which is filled outside the VA because the VA doesn't
right.
give that. But if I want to ask her to engage in a discussion with her and talk about this Cialis and all, should I use ED or should I be using some different phraseology to make sure my medical record reflects what I have?
Well, actually, Cialis is given not to restore sexual function.
I understand.
It
I
is
understand.
for
Yes.
strictly blood flow.
I understand. Yes.
Yeah, so what you're talking about is restoring sexual functions, and if that's true, there are artificial means like Trimix, which is a shot that you
Right.
give,
Which I'd rather die before I use that.
well, there was a gentleman in the Alan Babcock. I don't know anybody in the high risk group. There's Alan, and he was squeamish as heck. But his wife was a nurse, and she tolerated his squeamishness until finally she said, "Look, we're going to give this thing a shot."
Oh,
And
yes.
and so he was like basket case. So in the next meeting, he came in with a grin from ear to ear. And he says, "Yeah, she insisted, and I guess she pushed him down on the bed, jumped on top of him, got the needle out, and it was a very small thing, and proceeded to do it. And 2 hours later, they had enjoyed a great night, and he's sold on it.
I promise you won't see that grin on my face. I
Of
promise you.
course, there is the penile implant, where
Not that.
and that to me is and there is the vacuum jack, the pump,
Yes.
and hey, all this stuff. Hey, 80 years old, I'm long past that. So, hell, I don't know. I don't know the Sylvester. Chime in here. We need an expert.
There is a program, the Reluctant Brotherhood, that I also attend. And these issues are commonly discussed. And from what I understand, the people who have attempted these procedures are all happy as larks. I understand the needle, when people talk about needles, they get excited. But I understand these are very small needles, and it's not a problem doing the injections. So if any of you might be interested, you might want to listen to the Reluctant Brotherhood sessions come on each Wednesday night, 5 o'clock Pacific time, and I think 8 o'clock Eastern time. And they are very interesting discussions.
Where do you find that?
Well, I go into the search log and look for Reluctant Brotherhood.
Okay,
and
all
it
right.
comes up. And it used to be part of Answer Cancer, but it was a group. The Reluctant Brotherhood was part of Answer Cancer, better known as AnCan, but the moderators agreed to separate the groups because it got to be so large. So they separated into two different sessions. Now, I want to slightly give information for thought for what Cosley had said earlier. There are some veterans who suffer ED that has nothing to do with prostate cancer. It's my understanding veterans who suffer ED that is prostate cancer related is because of the nerves that have been injured during the form of treatment. So based on what his article, they may have been talking about ED that had nothing to do with the nerves being damaged for treatment. And that's it. That's my understanding.
Okay. Okay. Oh, it is 10 o'clock here, and it's about time. Anybody have any last words? Luther, anything on your mind that comes to mind?
Jim C. Chaplain.
Yeah, Jim.
Good, Jim.
I'll just mention that this has been absolutely fascinating. I love you guys. Each of you will be in my daily communion prayers unless you want to opt out. I love you.
Oh, no.
I'll try and continue what I can and contribute. I also have GERD. I have a hernia in the chest and a hernia in the left side that they decided not to do anything. And I think they'll be evaluating me for the Barrett's esophagus with this coming upper endoscopy. So I told you a lot of the conditions I have, but these are other things that are going on with me, a little bit complex.
Yeah, anyway, I have the same thing. I had GERD and hiatal hernia, and the reason why the reason why a lot of guys do not get tested for the Barrett's esophagus, because the first thing you'll ask, well, if I've got it, how do you treat it? Well, it takes very special equipment, and the treatment for it, I went through it 8 sessions, and the problem is if you have a repeat episode of GERD, you can undo everything that was undone. So, but in the VA world, if you can get service connection for a Barrett's esophagus, it's 40%, which is sweet, especially at the time you are attempting to get to 80 or 90 or 100. Okay, that's it. That's it for the night. I want to thank everybody. And just before I go, if you would like to contact me, you can contact me through AnCan. It can be at either veterans@ancan.org or captjim@ancan.org. Okay, folks.
Night.
Good night.
Guys, have a good night.
And I will stop
All right, thank
the
you.
recording now.